Good evening. Welcome. It is 7 o'clock on March 22nd, and I hope you felt welcomed as you came in this evening. Our Deputy Public Works Director, Kevin Gray, and our Human Resource Manager, Samantha Potts, served as our greeters this evening. I'm going to introduce the folks up in front of you, and if you would, just make sure your cell phones are silenced. To my right, your left, is our Recording Secretary, Taylor Lockert. Next to her is our City Clerk, Susan Dotteris. And then we have Commissioner Dwight Selby from Zone 1.
Good evening, everybody.
Commissioner Troy Kent from Zone 2.
Good evening, everyone.
To my left and your right, our Deputy Mayor and Zone 3 Commissioner, Susan Persis.
Hello, everyone.
Our Zone 4 Commissioner, Rob Littleton. Our City Manager, Joyce Shanahan. Assistant City Manager, Claire Whitley. City Attorney, Randy Hayes. And then way to the left or way to your right are our chiefs, police and fire. And for those of you listening online, I'm Mayor Bill Partington. At this time, we will have the invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. And again, I'll ask you to make sure and silence your cell phones. Please rise for the invocation. Tonight given by Evangelist John J. Seaton from Bethel Ministries.
It's a great honor. Let's pray together. Our Heavenly Father, we come to you in the name of Jesus, the name which is above every name. We thank you, Lord, for gathering us here. Lord, we acknowledge every soul must be subjected to the powers, greater powers. And there is no greater power than you, Lord. And you have appointed and recognized these precious leaders over us, over our city. And what an honor it is to come and lead prayer, bowing our knees to you, humbling our hearts to you. Father, we as a whole city lift up Ukraine situation to you tonight, for you to intervene and bring healing to the masses of people that are displaced. And Father, we thank you for our city. Thank you for your protection. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for your health, joy, peace, and prosperity. Especially these leaders, Father, we pray that you would bless not only their families, but all of the families of our city. And Father, I pray that you would give them the wisdom and knowledge and understanding to take right decisions in all the matters of the governance tonight, Father, and in every day. Thank you, Lord, for you are the Lord over our city. We submit ourselves to you. Let your covering be upon us continuously. We give you all the glory and honor and praise. We ask it in your precious holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time, if we could have the Lilly family come forward, and specifically Peyton Lilly. Peyton, if you'll grab that proclamation and stand right in the middle there looking out at the crowd, and your family's going to surround you. And I'm going to read this. Whereas Peyton Lilly and her family are residents of Ormond Beach, and whereas Peyton is a member of the National Junior Honor Society and attends Ormond Beach Middle School, and whereas Peyton has an entrepreneurial spirit and a love for dogs, particularly her dog, Winston Gentry. And I should have had you bring Winston Gentry tonight. And whereas during the COVID lockdown, Peyton, who has a propensity for crafts, taught herself how to sew. She started an online business sewing protective face masks, and whereas Peyton's goal was to contribute to the Humane Society with the profit of her sales, however, upon hearing the news of the Volusia County Sheriff's Office dogs, Axe and Endo's injuries, Peyton decided she wanted to assist in their medical care costs. And whereas Peyton contributed to the Volusia County Sheriff's Foundation in the amount of $1,000 for canine care, Peyton embodies the definition of generosity of spirit, to act with kindness and to be open and willing to share with others without any expectation of receiving something back in return. Now, therefore, I, Bill Partington, Mayor of the City of Ormond Beach, Florida, do hereby proclaim March 22nd, 2022 as a day to recognize Peyton Lilly in the City of Ormond Beach and encourage all residents to join me in celebrating Peyton for her generosity of spirit and sense of community. Congratulations. Whenever we have youth in our city who do amazing things, we like to recognize them, and so that's why we took time out to recognize Peyton. I wanted to give her, we have a special Key to the City pin that we give to our youth, and so I wanted to give that to you as well. Congratulations. Yep, thank you. We appreciate it.
And Mayor, if I might, I've known Peyton's parents for several years, and but I guess I had seen Peyton at church, but I didn't remember seeing her. So, and she said to me, "Well, I'm honored to meet you," and I said, "No, the honor is all mine." Because I asked her, I said, "Why are we giving you a proclamation?" And she told me why, and I said, "So thank you very much. That's amazing stuff for a middle schooler. So, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner.
You guys should be very proud. Well, I know you are. Yeah."
And Deputy Mayor Persis.
And I just want to say that Peyton was one of my students at Pine Trail Elementary School, and I'm not surprised that you're doing so well. And I'm really, sincerely, very, very proud of you and all you've done.
Very good. At this point, we're going to move on to audience remarks. I have one card, and it is Anna Christina Napoleon. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
My name is Anna Christine Napoleon, and I wanted to propose an idea to help the graffiti problem in our county. It's an ongoing issue that I've seen firsthand, and I wanted to propose a solution or an alternative to the vandalism. And it may not deter all, but I would like to offer an outlet to and an opportunity to many. Graffiti can be out of boredom, stress, recognition, but I've definitely seen way too much of it, and I'd like to beautify Volusia County. My alternative is chalkboard paint in the Nova Rec Center, and it can offer a creative outlet for parkgoers, and it's a safe and legal alternative to vandalism, which definitely floods the recreation center. It can be cleaned whenever deemed necessary and gone over numerous times. Sherman-Williams, I've spoken to them, and they said they would like to possibly donate chalkboard paint. And obviously the cost will not be zero, but it will be extremely minimal in comparison to constantly painting over the spray painting that I've seen, which is their current solution to it. There's an example of another establishment doing the chalkboard paint, and that is the Funky Pelican in Flagler. They have chalkboard paint outside of their building, and they just go over it multiple times per day. They erase it, and they offer many discounts, Sherman-Williams, and they would like to possibly donate for supplies. There could be a 4-foot by 25 square foot chalkboard paint section at the rec center, and the cost of chalk and paint would be extremely minimal.
Very good. Thank you. I love the fact that you brought up an issue and then you brought a solution as well at the exact same time. And I would ask our city manager to give you one of her cards. She can talk to you further and direct you to the right person on our staff, or persons on our staff that may be able to help with that. So, thank you. The minutes from the March 1st, 2022 City Commission meeting have been provided to the Commission for review, also posted to the city's website. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and we'll show those passing unanimously. And does anyone wish to pull anything from the consent agenda? Just need a motion.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Please call the vote.
Commissioner Selby,
Yes.
Commissioner Kent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. Any commissioners wish to comment on any of the consent agenda items? Deputy Mayor Persis.
I just want to thank Lucy Jackman for being here tonight, and I'm very happy that your motion, whatever it is, I can't even get the word out right now, but everything that we approved, your Echo grant, I can't think of it, for the Ormond Beach Performing Arts Center, because I know this has been your baby, and I am just like so proud of all the hard work you've done all these years for it. It's not easy, and unfortunately the wheels kind of turn a little slowly, and I think you just know we're all behind you, and thank you for trying to make Ormond Beach even better. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Commissioner Selby.
Yeah, I just would also like to just comment on Lucy Jackman, your individual effort. I know that you're surrounded by a lot of other hardworking people, but your dedication and commitment to this really has moved this forward to this point. And thank you for doing that. Thank you for loving the Performing Arts Center and working hard on it and being part of the community and making it better. Because I'm sure you got many other things you could be doing, but instead you're working on this, and we love it. So thank you.
I just wanted to point out on 7C, the city staff looking for grant funding for lift station backup pumps. When it comes to resiliency, that's such an important issue, and with hurricanes and other power outages that we deal with throughout the year, it's a great opportunity to provide that resiliency for our residents. So staff, thank you for following up with that. And then the Awos replacement project, this is 7M out at the airport. We just did the, I think it was ATIS last meeting, and then you've got the AWOS. We don't have an ASOS, I don't believe. Stephen, yeah, we don't have an ASOS, but these are technical, important flight aviation safety systems that our residents use, that people who fly in or around or near our airport use, and they're largely funded by federal and state dollars, and so it's a great opportunity to replace it, to put it on the correct runway, and it'll just make things better all the way around out there. And it's like an alphabet soup out at the airport. It's very complicated, the many different components of airport life, and one fascinating thing is the VOR, and I'll save that for another time, the discussion on that. But anyway, that's all I had, and if there's no other comments, we will move to public hearings. I'll open the public hearings, and we'll start with 8A.
Ordinance number 2022-05, an ordinance annexing certain real properties into the city of Ormond Beach, said properties being generally located along the east side of Plantation Oaks Boulevard, north of Addison Drive, and west of the village of Pine Run, consisting of approximately 103.45 acres, redefining the territorial boundaries of the city of Ormond Beach to include the properties, setting forth zoning privileges and obligations regarding the properties, redesignating the boundaries of Zone 1 of the city of Ormond Beach to include the properties, providing for transmission, providing for severability, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2022-0, read by title only.
Thank you, Susan. I don't have any cards.
I move approval of ordinance number 2022-05.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this second reading? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. 9A.
Ordinance number 2022-06, an ordinance amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city of Ormond Beach by amending the future land use plan to change the designation of one parcel of real property totaling 0.35 plus or minus acres located at 722 South Atlantic Avenue, Volusia County Property Appraiser, parcel number 4223-10-02-0050, from low-density residential LDR to tourist commercial TC, providing for conflict, authorizing transmittal, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2022-06, read by title only.
Thank you, Susan. I'll ask our planning director, Stephen Spraker, to speak on this item.
Good evening, Stephen Spraker, Planning Director. This is a request for a future land use map amendment. Every property in our city has both a land use map designation and a zoning. The land use is a general framework. This is for the parking lot, which is this is 722 South Atlantic, located here. South Atlantic would be located here, Benjamin here. So this parking lot, the property owner came into our site plan review committee, was looking at different options, and one thing that we realized was that the land use and the zoning was inconsistent. So the land use on the parking lot has a low density residential and the zoning is a B7. So this amendment seeks to correct the land use based on the existing parking lot use consistent with the zoning. There is no applications, there's no site plan, there's no pending development. If development were ever to occur, it would go through the site plan review committee, a neighborhood meeting, and there would be additional processes. The planning board reviewed this application and recommended approval 6-0. Staff has also recommended approval. Available for any questions.
Thank you, Stephen. Any questions for Stephen? Appreciate it.
Move approval, Mayor?
Thank you.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. 9B.
Ordinance number 2022-07, an ordinance amending paragraph C, official zoning map of section 2-01, established of Article 1, establishment of zoning districts, and official zoning map of Chapter 2, district and general regulations of the City of Ormond Beach Land Development Code by amending the official zoning map to rezone certain properties, real properties, totaling 0.64 plus acres, located at 215 Benjamin Drive, 225 Benjamin Drive, 229 Benjamin Drive, and 233 Benjamin Drive, from B-7 Highway Tourist Commercial to Ormond Beach R-3 Single Family Medium Density, authorizing revision of official zoning map, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2022-07, read by title only.
Thank you, Susan. And I don't have any cards. This is essentially what we did on the last one, but in reverse. And Stephen, I'll let you speak very briefly on this item.
So as we looked at the last item, we realized the same thing on these properties. The land use was low density residential, but the zoning was commercial. So the goal is to correct these.
Any questions for Stephen? Thank you, Stephen. Move for approval, Mayor.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Littleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. And we'll close the public hearings if I haven't already done that, and we'll move to 10A.
Resolution number 2022-46, a resolution authorizing the execution of an impact fee preservation agreement between the City of Ormond Beach and Halifax Plantation Section M LLC for property at 1561 North U.S. Highway 1, Ormond Beach, Florida, Volusia County, parcel number 3136-01-17-0010, as part of the demolition of the existing building, providing recordation and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2022-46, read by title only.
Thank you. And I'll ask Planning Director Stephen Spraker to speak on this item.
So in 2015, the city established an ability to maintain your impact fee vesting. So previously what would happen is a property would come in and they wouldn't want to demolish their blighted building because they want to save the impact fees. So under the preservation agreement that you have, individuals can remove blighted buildings or any building and maintain their impact fee preservation. This is an example of what the city is doing along the North US 1 corridor. This property has been blighted for a number of years. A new property owner came in. They have bought it and they demolished the building, taking away a number of code enforcement issues, and hopefully we'll see a redevelopment here soon.
Thank you. Any questions for Stephen on this one?
Mary, yeah, we've had these before come up, and I just have I support this, obviously, because I think it's the right thing to do. This might be a question for you, Mr. Hayes. I guess our ordinance requires that the city commission approve this? And I'm just curious, if we chose to, and I'm not suggesting this, but we could deny it? If somebody came in, we could deny this?
I'd have to go back and look at how the ordinance is structured again. I'll defer to Stephen on this because I know he's been in it more recently than I have. But Stephen, I don't know if you want to weigh in on that question or not.
Sure. Yes, the commission could deny it, and then the building would remain and continue to be a code enforcement and a neighborhood problem. So the goal of when that ordinance was enacted was to remove these blighted buildings that the only reason they were up was to preserve the impact fees. And there's also an impact fee study that may look at the whole, credits on property. So it's an issue that we're aware of and we're trying to work on.
Okay, so where I was kind of going with that, and I didn't mean to cross-examine you, that wasn't my intent, but to me, this is an administrative function. I think this should be almost automatic. I mean, if somebody's got this old Wendy's has been up there it's been vacant for, is it 10 years?
A long time.
It's a long, long time, and this is the kind of thing where the property owner didn't demolish it, because if they had before they sold it and hadn't gotten this preservation, impact fee credit preservation, they would have lost it. Okay, so in my mind, that would be it's a way better thing to get this nasty old building torn down years ago than it would be to stare at that thing for years. And so I just think, this is separate from the action tonight, but I think down the road we should look at modifying the ordinance and make this a staff function, and only if staff is really, for some reason, there's something funky about the deal that the property owner is proposing, allow you to approve it. I don't even see why it needs to come before us. So those are just my comments.
Anyone else have anything? I don't have any cards. Anyone from the public wish to, that we missed? I don't see anybody.
Need a motion?
Just
I
need a
move
motion and a
approval of resolution number 2022-46.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Selby,
Yes.
Commissioner Kent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. 10B.
Resolution number 2022-47, a resolution appointing a member to serve on the Volusia Growth Management Commission, establishing term and conditions of service, and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2022-47, read by title only.
Thank you, and it says to ask the city manager if she wants to speak on this item. I think we just need a motion with a name, correct? Okay.
I'll move Phil Maroney.
I'll
Second that.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Well, I just want to say that there are some really great candidates, on the list, people who've worked very hard for the city. But I think Phil Maroney, working for the Root Company and his position there and his long-standing involvement in the community, his knowledge of the regulations and the real estate industry make him an ideal candidate to serve as our representative on the Volusia Growth Management Commission.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Commissioner Kent.
Yep, and I would just add to that, and no pun intended here, but the roots that he has in this community. And I had a great opportunity a week ago to talk with Phil, and he very much is willing to serve. So great.
Anyone else? Yeah, a lot of great people. Phil was my first choice, so I'm proud to support him. But it's awesome to have such an amazing stable of folks willing to jump in if needed. All right. No further discussion. Please call the vote.
Commissioner Kent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Selby,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes, and just a note that I did not have any cards on that item, and we'll close the public hearings again just for good measure. Now we are at reports, suggestions, and requests, and we start with City Manager Joyce Shanahan.
Mayor, just a revision to your workshop calendar. We're looking at a shade meeting to discuss collective bargaining on April 19th. We have a tentative meeting for the impact fee study. As pointed out during the commission workshop, we have the reclaimed water scheduled for May 17th, which is, I guess, 2 days beyond my date, but I didn't think you wanted to meet on a Sunday. So the other thing I wanted to bring to your attention tonight is, I think I may have told you last time that Chief Godfrey is participating in the Unity Tour, and that's that bike ride for our fallen police officers. I wanted to let you know what the schedule was like in case any of you wanted to attend. I think he starts riding on Tuesday, May 10th, in around Richmond. Is that right, Chief? And then on day 2, they ride, and on Thursday, they arrive in Washington, D.C. at the National Law Enforcement Memorial. And then Friday, there's a candlelight vigil as part of the National Police Week survivors, and I think that's on the Capitol lawn, is that correct? So, and that's open to the public. But that might be a way to support your police department. If you're interested in going, let me know, and we can probably help you coordinate that. I would have to come back and revise our list of travel schedules. So I just think it would be nice if we could support the chief and the other folks that have given their lives in service to not only our community, but other communities. And that's really all I have tonight, unless you had some questions. Oh, one last thing. I wanted to update you on where we are with Casson Park. Mr. Leary asked me about that. We're putting the finishing touches on the RFP for design consultants for Casson Park as we got direction from the commission. And with that RFP, we're going to include the minutes of your workshop meeting as well as the minutes from the other LSAB and Quality of Life Board. And so there'll be plenty of feedback that they understand where the direction is going. So we'll get that out on the street. I think that has to be out for 30 days. And then we'll bring that back to you after we vet that process. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions for the city manager?
I do.
Commissioner Wood.
I'm actually going to hit you for this. Ms. Shanahan, some allegations have been made about Pineland Trail that the city has been neglecting that road. Could you respond with anything that the city has done to improve that road in the last few years?
Yeah, if you give me a second, I'll bring that. Finley, our Public Works Director, provided some information to us, and I'll just give you a brief overview. Prior to 2008, Pineland was a county road, and you all know where that's located in our city. So at one point, the city annexed a certain portion of that road. It was an enclave, and so despite the lack of a formal agreement, the city maintained a portion of that road from Ormond Green Boulevard. It was about 1.7 miles, almost 2 miles, and then there's about another 2+ miles that the county maintained. Based on back in, I think it was 2012, the city agreed to take over or transfer the maintenance of Pineland to the city of Ormond Beach. And so at that time, Pineland was a aggregate, almost like a gravel surface with a clear seal coat on top of that. In order to meet city standards, staff developed a comprehensive plan to resurface that entire length of roadway. We developed that plan. We took to the city commission during the budget approval process, and as part of their annual capital budget for transportation over a several-year period, 6 or 7 years, because it's a lot of miles of road to maintain. We resurfaced the entire roadway at a cost of $711,000. Additionally, as part of that Ormond Crossings project, Security First was required to reconstruct Pineland from Harmony to Broadway. So you haven't ignored that road from a transportation standpoint. Additionally, staff was just out there last week reviewing some of the comments that we heard from the public meeting, and as we do regularly review that road, so we don't feel like the road is in disrepair. Additionally, between February of 2018 and now, we have done 15 separate stormwater projects out there. So we haven't neglected it from that standpoint. We regularly do ditch mowing. The culvert was modified per FDOT's request, the drainage culvert. The city installed a gator to stop the water coming in from backing up, so it kind of stops it from I-95. So we were able to do that. Public Works admin and engineering staff also met with residents several times on site to talk about, including Volusia County, St. Johns River Water Management District, FDOT, and the county schools to discuss those stormwater issues. The city directed us to invest in a stormwater survey out there. We completed that, and I think we made some improvements as a result of that. So we just wanted to make sure that you remember all that we've done out there and that we haven't been neglecting that roadway.
Mayor, I think it's important to note that several of the property owners out there do not live in the city. They're in the unincorporated county. So they're, we don't get any taxes from them to maintain that road or the ditch.
I just want to make sure everyone is clear that we have
Correct. No, and that's a good point. I don't know if the folks that live in the county are trying to leverage the issue to finally get the county to look at it, or exactly what is going on. You don't have to respond to that, Joyce, but I think we've, as our staff always does, goes above and beyond making sure we meet our responsibilities, but not doing the responsibilities of other folks as well, which would essentially be a unseen tax on our residents, using your staff time to do other agencies' work.
And, additionally, we cannot do public work on private property. The Constitution of the state of Florida doesn't permit us to do that. So, we have to draw that line, and sometimes it's not comfortable for people that are on the other side of that line.
Any other questions for the city manager? Thank you, Joyce. Assistant City Manager Claire Whitley. Thank you, Claire. And City Attorney Randy Hayes.
No, sir, thank you.
And tonight we start with Deputy Mayor Persis.
That's great. Good evening, everyone, again. I hope you're enjoying daylight savings time, like it's still light outside, and it's really pretty to look out the window and almost seeing the sunset. But I know it's an adjustment for everyone, but it is a great time of the year. Spring is always fun. I want to just congratulate Ormond Beach Chamber for a fabulous Taste of Ormond. It was just so wonderful. The food was incredible. Huge crowds. And there were people that wanted to go that couldn't because they couldn't get a ticket. They were sold out. So that was just a huge success. I'm just so proud for them. And my last thing is just I just want all of us to remind ourselves that we have it so good here, and right now people in the Ukraine are suffering and just literally fighting for their lives. And we just all need to appreciate everything that we have and not sweat the small stuff because it's really not important. So we just need to appreciate everything, and I hope that we can all keep them in our thoughts and prayers. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you. And Commissioner Littleton.
Thank you. I do want to give kudos to the Taste of the Ormond. That every year I fill my belly way too much, and it outperforms the previous year. And some of the businesses, the restaurants, were kind of new, and they just offered great food, and I hope to patronize them. Is that what word? Yeah, patronize them in the coming months. I want to give kudos to the Barth Associates for a great workshop and master plan. The commission as a whole, I thought was a great workshop for them and for staff as well. Furthermore, since I can only ask you in public, Mayor, at the elected officials roundtable, they talked about a transportation subcommittee, and for them, do you have any thoughts on that, or have they talked to you guys about it?
The chairwoman is Mayor Herzberg from Deltona. My understanding of how it was left was she was going to be getting with people and coming up with suggestions. Generally, they look at actual members of the board to make up the subcommittees, and I don't know if they're doing that with this particular subcommittee or not. Either way, they'd have to bring it back, I think, to the full board to make a decision. I'm not sure 100%, but my belief is the purpose of the transportation subcommittee is to start laying the groundwork for a 1-cent sales tax for transportation. That would be my guess, and that's something I think we were part of a 1/2 cent a few years ago. Now they're coming back thinking that because the 1/2 cent failed, it must have been because people wanted to be taxed more, and they wanted a 1-cent tax. Where all that ends up, I don't know, but I plan to be very fierce in making sure that it's a fair process, that each person on that board takes it back to their commissions to find out what their commission believes is their municipality's response, and then see if there's any actual support for that moving forward. Once they have that, then it'll be up to, I guess, that committee to work out some of the details, maybe working with the private sector if they decide to move forward, and then decide ballot language and things like that. If the decision to let the people vote is the will of 16 municipalities and the county as well. So there's a lot left to be decided on that, and a lot of meetings and time involved. I don't know where it's all gonna end up. I remember on the 1/2 cent, it really got off the tracks when they started factoring water projects into it, and it became not strictly focused on transportation. My concern is I hear the rumblings of that happening already, and so it's just going to be I see a difficult process moving forward. But if you call that forward, we'll see what transpires, and I'll keep you up to date as I learn more. So.
And my final thing would be the ribbon cutting of the Hungarian folk art exhibit at the Casements. it's been going on for, what, 42 years, did they say, Mayor? Me and you attended that. And to have the Casements be the epicenter, sort of Hungarian art in this area is something special. And though it's a small population, it's a proud population, and their art is beautiful. And so it's just so proud that it's here in Ormond Beach. And with that, I'll say good night.
Thank you, sir. And Commissioner Selby.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of quick comments. One, the Taste of Ormond was fantastic. Kudos to Main Street for putting on that great event. And then the Celtic Festival is coming up. For those of you who don't know, it's April 23rd and 24th. Of course, in the Rockefeller Gardens. They got 5 music stages, Highland games, Celtic vendors, bagpipers, draft beer, a jam tent, a dog parade, and a kids zone. So it should be quite a great event. They are selling tickets already online. Main Street is, and so far ticket sales are going very well. And by the way, this is one event that weather doesn't matter. I think if you all remember a year or two ago that the weather was just awful, and the place was packed. I mean, I guess for most Scottish, that's a good day, right? Nice rainy, windy, blustery day is a good day. And then the final thing I wanted to comment on and is the great work the staff did this year, getting 4 of our projects into the state budget. You probably saw the article in the Ormond paper with $2.882 million worth of projects, and they're all environmental. They're all clean water projects. The ultraviolet disinfection, $1.5 million. The Ormond Beach reclaimed water transmission, a new pipe, a second pipe under the Halifax, $650,000. Septic to sewer conversion, $532,000, and reclaimed water storage, $200,000. So congratulations, Joyce and staff. Hopefully these will all survive the governor's veto pen. I think we're in pretty good shape. I communicated with Tom Leake, and he said he was working on it to make sure these things would all survive. And I think with the size of the budget this year and the extra revenue that they have this year, I'm hopeful that, and the nature of these projects, I think these are a priority. So congratulations. Thank you very much.
Alex Schumann and the folks there, they did a great job focusing on what we believed were important priorities of the governor and finding projects that we have in our master plan that would address those. So we really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Selby. And Commissioner Kent.
Thank you, and I'll pick up right where Commissioner Selby left off. Joyce, to you and Sean Finley and the rest of the staff, great job on getting those projects prioritized. I had a wonderful meeting with State Representative Tom Leake last week, and he shared with me the same thing you shared with you, Commissioner Selby, obviously, which was that he was working hard to make sure that they weren't on the veto pen of the governor. And I just want to publicly thank State Representative Tom Leake for his hard work helping Ormond Beach in that area. Chief Godfrey, there you are. You know what you've done ever since you've become chief? You've done a great job. You've worked hard every day. You've represented Ormond Beach in a positive light, and you continue to do it. And I'm proud of you, and I'm thankful that Joyce made the decision to put you in that role. And I just hope that Joyce and Randy and you and all the other great employees continue to call Ormond Beach home, and your workplace as well. So thank you, Chief. I appreciate it. I just want to tell you, if you're looking for a really fun, inexpensive, wholesome day, go see my friend Ike Leary. Go over to Casson Park. Go to Ormond Beach. Go to the bait shop there. Pick up some live shrimp. Pick up a bag of frozen dead shrimp. Bring your kids, your grandkids, and throw a fishing line out and watch their face as they get that first bite. Pun intended, they will be hooked. And you might even get dinner out of it. It's a great experience. It's a ton of fun. And it's right there. I'm sitting here before I decided to talk about it. My mother loves to fish. Now, she'll bait her hook, but she will not take a live fish off her pole. And my mother is 74 years old, and I was just thinking, because getting her on the boat is a bit of a chore. But I thought, you know what I can do? I'm going to take her down here on a Saturday or Sunday morning, and we're going to go fishing again like she used to do with me when I was a kid. And it's good, wholesome stuff. Thanks, Ike. And last but not least, Monday, April 4th, first Monday of the month, which means coffee with Commissioner Kent at my house. 1:30 Magnolia Drive, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. We talk about anything you want to talk about in the city of Ormond Beach and even beyond if you want. We're pretty flexible in that area. I have to admit, I'm not a big coffee drinker, but I'll make you a cup. And if you'd like to come and share your ideas, please do. With that, happy spring and have a great evening.
Thank you, Commissioner. And looking ahead, April 19th, we have a shade meeting. May 3rd is an impact fee study as we work to update our impact fees. May 17th is going to be reclaimed water discussions. These are future workshops. June 7th will be the capital improvements program and draft budget, and then we may have an additional workshop on June 7th as far as what came out of our Parks and Rec Master Plan workshop this evening, looking at maybe some west side property locations for a potential west side community activity center, indoor and outdoor. So that's exciting. A lot of good things going on. And then July 19th will be the operating budget, of course. But I thought we had a great update this afternoon. We have a solid Parks and Recreation master plan. I'm excited for that, and a lot of great comments and input from the commission on that. I wanted to recognize Lucy Jackman, who's here with us tonight. Lucy, would you stand up for just a second? This woman and her team that she's put together, she's got Billy Joe Kaler and others, has single-handedly worked so hard for the Performing Arts Center in Ormond Beach. It's been amazing to watch her passion for that, and so the results of the ECHO grant being on tonight's agenda, I think it's wonderful, and we've come a long way. So thank you for that, Lucy, and our residents, thank you as well. The veto pen, that's what we're all worried about at this point. We've all been, I know, writing letters and working with our phones to work every angle that we can to try and save us from that veto pen. Senator Hudson, Representative Leak worked extremely hard to get those projects in along with our staff, and they're good projects. It's a couple $1 million, and it's important. We talk about resiliency, we talk about the environment, clean water, reclaimed water as part of that. The cleaner the water we can produce, the cleaner the water that goes out ultimately. So I'm pushing hard to avoid the veto pen, and I know each of you are as well. And Doug Bell, our lobbyist, has worked extremely hard, both with both sides of the legislature and now with the executive branch as well. It's awesome to have him there fighting for us on a daily basis during this next couple months when the governor's office is reviewing all those things. We talked about the June 7th workshop that we just put on, Commission, for the West Ormond Community Center, Recreation Center. Another workshop, actually a mini OB Life series that I'd like to propose on airport issues. I believe could be held either at the end of April or early May at the Performing Arts Center. There's been a lot of misinformation and bad information around town about the airport. There are signs that say no jets. Well, 40 years too late. There's been jets at the Ormond Airport for many, many years. And then there's just other bad information that makes for a quick soundbite, but isn't really supported in fact. So in being as transparent as humanly possible, which we generally always try to do, I would like to propose just a short OB Life series at the Performing Arts Center where we can provide a ton of information, answer a lot of questions, and just really get to the heart of explaining what's going on at the airport. I had a call a couple weeks ago about noise at the airport and how terrible it was, and they couldn't hear conversations that they were trying to have with their friends, and it sounded like a plane was landing on their roof. So I went out to that neighborhood for a week straight, every single day at different times for about a half an hour, and never heard one plane. I heard a lot of motorcycles because it was bike week. I heard the school bells sounding because it was up near Ormond Beach Middle School. But it struck me that many of these concerns and issues are either fabricated completely or largely exaggerated. And so I thought it was important that we get the correct information out there. So I don't know, Commission, if you're in support of that. Absolutely. I think, Joyce, if you could make that happen.
So when we're talking a series, we're just talking one meeting?
Exactly.
Okay,
Open
very
meetings.
good. Okay, thank you.
Mini meeting. I shouldn't have called it a series, I guess. But that's something that I think will clear up a lot of questions and information. And then closing on a positive note, the Hungarian exhibit was an amazing opportunity for our city to cooperate with the Consulate General of Hungary, which is out of New York City. Peter B. Nagy is the consul, and he actually attended the event, and so it was wonderful to welcome him to the city of Ormond Beach. He was very impressed with the it's called the Hungarian Heritage Home. It's on the 3rd floor of the casements, and I'd urge anybody who has the opportunity to go check it out. As Commissioner Littleton indicated, it's a small community, but a very passionate one, and just incredible cultural contributions to our area, educational, and their heritage is amazing. And we're lucky to kind of provide that and host that facility. There was a musical performance, there were some poems spoken in both English and Hungarian, and Mr. Nagy was explaining he's only here for a brief time as a diplomat in the United States, and then he returns back to Hungary, which he's looking forward to doing. And it was particularly timely to hear, as Deputy Mayor Purse has pointed out, with the issues in the Ukraine. Hungary borders the Ukraine, and they're hosting a lot of refugees at this time. So sad to hear that, but heartwarming to hear how hard they're working to keep those folks as comfortable as possible during this time. So a lot of stuff going on, a lot of positive things in the city, and with that, we'll be adjourned. Thank you.